CWR podcast. I am CWR team member Daniel Becker up here in Anchorage, Alaska, staring into the Arctic abyss. Joining me, as always, my fellow host from Quincy, Washington, Matt Sleater.
Hello.
Matt, we are off to a good 2026 so far. We've got an all-star lineup for us for the first show, and this has been a very good week for us on our social media platforms. Our Freeman footage video on TikTok has right now, at last check, has about 139,000 views on it. So
wow.
Off to a really good start with that one. And the last time I checked, that same video on YouTube has 31,000 views, which is, as you know, is a record for us. So
yeah,
thank you so much to everybody who is tuning in and watching the podcast and checking out our videos. So Matt, today we got a great lineup. Today, joining us from the great state of Arkansas are our partners, William Lunsford and Stephen Hill. And then we've got other partners as part of our Cryptid Wilderness Research Network, our CWR network.
Yep.
And they are out of the state of Virginia with Cryptic Investigations of Appalachia, Jeff Anderson and Andy Hall. So let's go ahead and bring everybody in. William Lunsford, Stephen Hill, Jeff Anderson.
Hey.
Andy Hall. Guys, thank you so much. All of you guys. I know it's hard enough getting a schedule correlation with two people, let alone a big group. So thank you all for finding the time. And Andy and Jeff, this is the first time you guys are actually meeting William and Stephen. And I know you guys are familiar with them due to their online presence on different podcasts, and these guys are our mentors, and they are field generals in cryptozoology. And so every time I go out with them, it's like I'm going to school. So they're great. Now, Cryptic Investigations of Appalachia, you guys got a good thing going on there in the state of Virginia. So why don't you tell us real quickly, for our viewers who are not familiar with you, tell us real quickly about your team.
Well, it's just two of us right now, myself and Andy. We started off exploring our home areas where we had our original encounters. And when we started, we had no idea, any intention about starting a research page or anything like that. We was just kind of doing it for our own curiosity, to answer our own questions. And the more we went out, we just kind of decided, that everything we've seen on the internet about the Appalachian region and Bigfoot, it was always Pennsylvania, New York, up that area. And I told him, I said, we're covered up with them down here too. I said, somebody needs to, educate the rest of the country that, we got them down here in the South just as much as they got them up, the Midwest, Canada, Texas, down there where you guys are at. Yep. So that's kind of where we got started from, and it just kind of just took off from there.
Andy Hall.
Oh yeah, like Jeff said there, we got our squatches too. They don't, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. You want to let people know, hey, they're here too, but then again, you don't want the wrong people to know about it. The hoaxers and stuff, and everything. But it is what it is. But yeah, we getting information out here, and we got some people that's a little distance away. It's reached out and talked to us about some of their experience, and over in eastern Kentucky, and down in North Carolina a little bit, and still here in Southwest Virginia.
That's like not the the people that's willing to come out and say, hey, come here and look at this. Just people down here is just not that open with stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you guys and having you guys in our network and finding out what's going on in the state of Virginia. Let's jump over to Stephen Hill. And Stephen, why don't you give our viewers a quick summary of how you got involved in all of this?
It was in 2009. That's near the Costop Falls area, which in 1988, that was the spot where I had my first sighting was only about 3 to 5 miles roughly from where William took me Bigfooting the first time, but he didn't tell me we were Bigfooting. So that was, and sure enough, I think I still believe it was probably in January because the days were short and it was cold weather. And it's usually December, January, February here in Arkansas when we get our coldest weather. And it was late in the evening. It was dusky dark. You can still see, but the sun has already dropped down behind the trees, but there's still enough light that you can see through the woods.
Yeah.
And I saw something moving through the woods, and it was on all fours. And I thought, what is that? And I watched this thing cover. I'm going to say 80. I'm going to say I watched it cover 100 yards through the trees, and it crossed the road in front of me. And I was still moving in the truck. And this thing, it covered that distance somewhere between. I'll be generous and say it took it 5 seconds to cover that 100 yards on all fours. This thing was on all fours. Later on, that's when it started for me, and that's when the debate began happening in my mind that it didn't move like a bear. And more details. I mean, the more you look at it, more you want to compare a bear to what I saw. This thing now it looked straight forward the whole time. The front shoulders and the rear end were almost level. There was no tail. As best I can tell, it was solid black. And I was thinking, whenever I got up there to where that spot was, it was maybe 80 yards or closer because I was still moving, 15, 20 miles an hour. I just come down a pretty steep hill and made a right-hand turn whenever I saw it. So I was probably going 15 miles an hour. So I was closing the distance where it crossed the road to where I was at in the truck. I never stopped. So, I mean, I got a pretty good look at it, close enough that I could tell that there was definitely not a snout on this creature that I saw. And I know on the other side of the road is a pretty steep going up. And I was thinking, well, I'll get it where it crossed the road at, and I'll get another chance to try to identify what I've seen. And when I got to where it crossed the road, there was nothing I could see through the trees. It was completely gone. It was the fastest thing I've ever seen in the woods. So a white-tailed deer can run fast.
Yeah.
I guarantee you a whitetail wouldn't stand a chance against what I saw.
Yeah.
So, and it was the smoothest thing I've ever seen in the woods too. That was another thing that made me decide that it wasn't a bear. I mean, you're in Virginia, you guys probably see bears quite a bit.
Yeah.
And a bear, it's an up and down motion when it's running. And if they got some weight on it, they got fat flopping around everywhere. This thing didn't have anything moving around like a big belly or anything like that. It was slim and trim and in good shape.
That's where you get a lot of the comparisons that you have there to a cross-country skier watching Bigfoot walk through there. And so, like I said, they're just so fluid in their movements. And then, too, with the when you look at the track lines, Stephen and I found several good track lines. Yeah. And what there is there, it's like a tightrope, somebody walking a tightrope. So it's not the bounce around like that. I mean, it's just so. Yeah.
And some of
whether they're on 2 or 4.
Yeah, I think one of the last track lines we actually measured, I think Reese was with us that day, and it was 52 inches is what the average stride was. It had one step that was only 48 inches. Then after the 48-inch step, it went back to 52.
Yeah.
So,
wow,
that's a stride there.
That's what the stride was.
Yeah,
and that's just the average stride. We've actually got a couple that were longer. Got one there that's found down there around Sulphur River, around Fountain down there. It was 7 foot 5 inches between one to the other. And I'm not talking about like from the heel to the toe. I'm talking about from the toe to the next heel, not from the very first step. So, so we had some great big track lines like that.
Yeah, and I'll get Daniel to. I'll send you the picture of the tree that we believe is a territorial marker down there.
I'd love to.
This tree is how long was that tree? That tree was probably 40 feet long, William.
Probably never did.
And we never found where it came up out of the ground at.
Never did. That's exactly right.
We looked for it. We couldn't find where it came out of the ground at. So
Yeah.
You know, let me take this time to give thanks to the good partners that I got too, man. Daniel, we got Daniel in there. We got Matt's coming there. Stephen, Matt hasn't come down here yet and researched with us, but between Stephen and Daniel and I in those woods like that, man, sometimes it's like the Three Stooges. We're having such a good time, but you've never met three more serious guys about what we're looking for.
I'll tell you
we're very, very fortunate to have like I said, each other as research partners, and also have the area that we're in there. And again, Stephen has a job where he works in the public. I had a job where I worked in the public, and they're like, I go to their house sometimes. Like, Will, you still doing Bigfoot? Yeah. Well, let me tell you about what happened to so and so, or what happened to them. So, really, like I said, very, very fortunate to have had that right there. And so our layout with the terrain will be a lot of time where I'm at down here around Sulphur River and stuff. That's mostly swamps, thickets, snakes, and everything else. But where Stephen starts right at just basically the foothills. I'd say the foothills of the Ouachitas, and then going through there. So he gets into the mountains right there. So we're very, we got a cross section of places that we can actually go. We got Oklahoma over there, maybe 30 to 40 miles away. Of course, I've got Texas, got Louisiana there also. So that's contributed a lot to what success that we've had. But again, it's just, it's really, really interesting down there because you're finding so many people. Like I said, and nowadays it's becoming popular where they'll actually kind of share their stories with you. They may not want you to use their name, but they'll share what they've got with you.
Yep.
So William, I'm sorry, go ahead, Stephen.
I just wanted to ask Jeff and Andy, is that kind of what they're running into? You've got some people that have had some encounters, or they've had some sightings even, and they're just they don't want to take a chance on messing up their reputation.
Yeah.
Well,
I've met several people. Sorry, Jeff, that have done the, be like, so, you believe in Bigfoot, or you still after Bigfoot, or whatever, and they're like, absolutely, and like you said, well, let me tell you what happened to me, or, well, I saw this thing, but it didn't make it, and I'm like, okay, yeah, and, it just, but, as far as like, hey, do you want to record this or whatever? No, I just want tell you, I don't know, man, what it was. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I understand. No pushing.
Yeah.
I went over to the Murray, North Carolina Bigfoot Festival this year. Now, you could, anywhere you wanted to go to stand and talk Bigfoot. I mean, it was there. I mean, it was just, I think they said at one time when I was there during the peak time, there was like 8,000 to 10,000 people there.
Man.
I mean, it was elbow to elbow. And I mean, it was just, you just felt like you was at home because everybody there was in the same thing. And you seen people from all different walks of life. I've seen people from different countries that were there. It was unbelievable. There was a couple from England came over here to the festival. Yeah. Yep.
So, William Lunsford, obviously you have a heavy online presence. You're on a lot of shows. You are an author with your most recent book being Searching for the Unfindable, Finding the Impossible. For viewers who are not familiar with you, give us a summary of how you got into this and your interesting story.
Man, I tell you, as I said, a location is a whole lot of it. They say location is everything. Well, I was very fortunate. About 18 miles from here is a little town called Fouke, Arkansas. And Fouke was the original home of what was called the Legend of Boggy Creek back in 1971. They had a creature that was showed up through there. And so it became world famous there. It actually, just took wings and gathered through there. And so with the legend of Boggy Creek, and then right there around Sulphur River. Well, I was down there one day fishing, and that was 1971, 72 when it first came out. Well, 1977, I was getting ready to graduate high school, and I had some gravel pits that I fished down there. And you hear all kinds of things. I had lived down there pretty close, but I just wasn't. I had done become too educated to believe in Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and all that stuff. And I was down there one day, right there, probably about the first part of April there in the spring, and happened to walk up on one. And I'm like, oh my gosh, so that really shook me right there. I was just shook to the core. I felt like I did a show with Travel Channel called This Is How I'm Gonna Die. And that's kind of what I felt like when I saw it, because this thing was just so big, so massive. I had no chance, whatsoever. But I got into that right there. And so then about, let's see, that was 1977, 1985. Then I was about probably 8 miles away down there to another place there at Sulphur River. There's a bayou that I go to called Mercer Bayou. And so as I was down there, me and my nephew were down there, had just bought a new little old boat there, and we just come back from fishing, had a good time, and we pulled up on the doggone boat ramp there about dark 30. And it wasn't in any hurry, we was having a big time, and all of a sudden there's one standing over in the corner. He stands up, man, wherever he does it, he really lets us have it. Well, my nephew freaked out. He was 8 years old at the time. I'm like, oh gosh, man. So getting him in the vehicle was the most important thing. But then I realized hey, if I'm going to be down here, I need to learn more about him. And so I took it more seriously. I had done a lot of research there in what used to be called the card catalog of our doggone libraries, but you just didn't find that much about it. Well, then once I got there right there and started learning more about it, then realized just how many there are around here. Like I said, we're all swamps down here in the southern part, and swamps and rivers. And then, like I said, Stephen and I right there, he's got the mountains that we have through there. So, but that's how I got started. It didn't have any intention of being a Bigfoot researcher, and I didn't have any intention of being a Bigfoot author. And finally, I had a lot of folks that came to me and said, "Will, you've got to tell your story, man," because And then I thought, well, what if something happens to somebody? What if somebody has one of these things and they see it and they don't know what to do? So I started. I wrote one book there probably about 4 years ago, and it was called "Searching for the Unfindable: My Quest for the Arkansas Bigfoot." And then I wrote my second one there that, like Daniel mentioned, there's "Searching for the Unfindable: Finding the Impossible," which is a title that was given to me there by Duke Sullivan there from World Bigfoot Radio. So anyway, so that right there has been a lot of fun. Like I said, it's been received very well so far. And the thing about if you guys have heard of me and Stephen a lot there, you can tell we're not pulling your leg. Nope. It's just there's so much stuff around here, and he and I with people there that we're on the road there, we get to speak to, and if you can present an air of credibility, there's still people that's going to give you a bunch of bull and stuff like that, but and then say you're lying and all that stuff. But once you get out there and you see it, you don't see you're not going to see me have to think between one story to another story, because there's after X amount of years, I've been doing this now since 1977. So however long that is right now, that many years, I don't have to think. I can generally think of one story to another, things that have happened right there. And that's not because I'm the greatest Bigfoot researcher. It's just because you get up there. That's how you're going to get the experiences being in the woods, being a boots on the ground researcher. There's going to be a lot of things that's going to happen that's really going to surprise you. So that's where I got mine, and still going strong. I hope continues to. Again, I pulled some cameras this week there and pulled some SD cards, got pictures of Bigfoot on there. And so I've got about changed SD cards. I've got about 9 cameras out there right now. So hopefully I'll have some for us to all share pretty soon. But when Daniel came down, man, I thought, oh gosh, man, that's a lot of pressure. He first thing he told me, it was really funny. He said, "Well, he said, I can tell you're not lying." And he said, as fast as you talk, nobody can lie that fast. So we had a big laugh out of that, but it's true.
Right.
Stephen will tell you, I was a UPS man. I was going to get anything said. I had to get it said. So, but that was a lot of pressure on me when Daniel came down. But then all of a sudden, man, like I said, first day out, we hit the ground running and things started happening. And we've had something happen every single time. When me and Stephen go, Stephen's got a Bigfoot girlfriend up there. She kind of makes her presence known right there. And so, but she tends to come, truly, she tends to come around there. And, we're very fortunate again. but to tell everybody that these things are real, where we live at, especially here in Arkansas, you guys, man, Appalachia. I got to do a show a couple of years ago there with the guys from Mountain Monsters, and good guys. I said, but man, I said, tell me something. I said, I know you guys have got real evidence. I said, why don't you ever present it? He said, because that's not what's, pays the bills. That's not what buys the biscuits, and that's what their bosses want. So, but but man, some of the things they have there in Appalachia are just incredible. And I know y'all have probably researched a lot of them too. So,
they're
far away from a lot of counties and everything that they was in filming stuff and everything. Maybe hour drive from here.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe. Well, don't forget that. Yeah, no, that was fine. The Bigfoot that was in Saltville, I forgot.
Yeah. And one thing about Stephen and I have been so lucky as well with Daniel there. Stephen and I have been able to get photographic evidence of all three of the major creatures that we have here. We've got a photo of what's called the Dogman. I know y'all got them out there a lot too. A photo of Bigfoot, and then also have what's got a photo of a Gugway. And the Gugway's a bad dude. Now he's got a bad attitude, and but we were actually able to get photographic evidence of all three of those so far.
Wow.
We got several pictures, of Bigfoot in there, and
I've never seen a picture of a Gugway. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I'll get with you after the show and I'll send it to you. You'll see he's a bad dude, man. He's the one that kind of has the snout and everything, and he's like the Joe Cool camel. Like if he could wear sunglasses, he would, because he's a pretty bad thing walking, but that was something I had to really learn a lot about. But anyway, so we've been very fortunate there. So we've got a cross section of beings down here for sure.
So I got the tree marker photo from Stephen. So let's bring that up. And this is perfect because I want to talk about tree breaks and tree structures, because I've got some pictures from Jeff and Andy I don't want to bring in after that for us to discuss. Let's bring up that marker, and then Stephen, you can take it from there.
Thornton's Wells. This is what is this? Probably about a mile through the woods from Thornton's Wells, William.
Yep.
And we had some other researchers from Texas with us. Well, some from Texas, some from Oklahoma. And down around Thornton's Wells, that's where One Knock stays at. He hangs out. If you get one knock in a response from that Bigfoot, that's all you're going to get. I'm pretty sure that's the one that my daughter saw.
Yeah. That night.
What year was that? 2018?
Probably 2018 or 19. And boy, those few days were hot, man.
Yeah, that was December 23rd, 2018. She got to see one. She was standing on the boat ramp, and the Bigfoot was just across the Mercer bow right there. But this right here. Since that one seems to hang out in that particular area right there, we're believing that this right here could be a territorial marker as a warning to other Bigfoots in the area, saying, "Hey, this is my spot. Stay away." Because if you look at the tree, I mean, that would be it wouldn't be possible for me and William together to put that there. It's too big and way too high up.
This right here, I have seen something very similar. I have not got the pictures to it, but very similar. No, this picture I ain't got to get to that tree yet. If it's still there, I'm afraid the hurricanes brought it down. I walked back there last winter to try to find it, and I couldn't find it. But I don't know if I went back there far enough. But that tree, it's about as big as round as maybe. It's not as big a coffee can, maybe a little bit bigger. But it's about 30, 40 feet long, and it's wedged on like a broom handle size little old knob. I mean, there's no way it fell in there. I've looked for the ground. I can't find the hole nowhere. This tree is a locust that is laying in there, and it's leaning up. I don't know if it's an oak or maybe a hickory or whatever, but it had been carried in there, and there's no way that you know, I don't even think 4 or 5 people could pick it up and
That's
put
right.
it in there like that, because it just it had to be laid in there pretty gently, because I'm sure that other little limb would have broke off if there was any kind of force brought in there.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. This is the one I was telling you about earlier. We could not find where this came out of the ground at.
That's just crazy. All the weights up top.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All the weights up top.
We got several pictures of trees there that you've heard about, the ones there in Alaska. They're placed upside down. We got several pictures of trees that are upside down like that, you know, root systems sticking up. And like I said, people can't do it, you know. And me and Stephen are pretty guys. I used to be a power lifter. I've had my son down there with me who also used to power lift. I said, there's no way in the world, and we've tried it. You know, if we're going to do anything, we have to put it on our shoulders and just try to squat, and we can barely even move it, you know, like that. So. When you find something like that, you've got somebody that's definitely the king of the forest there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a really good find there, and great points about the weight distribution and placement. So I want to go into some pictures now from Virginia, and the first ones that we're going to look at, we're actually going to look at one from Virginia, from Cryptic Investigations of Appalachia, and then we're going to look at one that I found, and there are some striking similarities between these two breaks. And but for our viewers who are not familiar with tree breaks, this is what we in CWR, our team calls a standalone tree break. And this is our definition of what a standalone tree break is. A tree break that is discovered which has no surrounding fallen branches or debris. And you'll know what we're talking about as soon as you see the pictures. So we're going to look at the Virginia tree break first. And you guys go ahead and tell us about this one.
That's the one I found at the park. It was just up above, I'm pretty sure I sent Daniel the arch. This was just up above the giant archway, about 40 yards up to the right. And there was a deer trail come down just about 10 yards below it that ran just right in. I mean, it was just a perfect straight line straight in there to it. But that probably wasn't 30 yards off the trail.
So one of the details that we want to focus on is not the base branch, but the top branch that has been broken off. Now you'll see the bark is looks like it's been shaved off there, as almost like a hand has grabbed it.
It was actually twisted off. The bark was actually twisted. You can see underneath. I wish I took a picture of it underneath. You can see where the bark had been twisted off and it fell underneath it.
Was it twisted to the right?
Yes.
Okay. More than likely a right-handed Bigfoot.
Now I want to
twisted right.
Now I want to bring in the tree break, the standalone tree break that I found up here in Alaska, and I want us to look at the similarity in what we're seeing.
Pretty darn cool.
Yeah. Yep. There, Daniel appears to be pointing towards where the hand is probably taking off some of the bark to break the thing.
Yep.
That's interesting. Yep.
Exactly. That bark is skinned off there in the same area.
Yeah. Whenever you think about it, think of how much strength they have to have in their hands.
Oh,
to be able to snap it over and twist it.
Yeah.
That's whenever you go to thinking about this right here, and you're thinking about, you familiar with different accounts where rocks have been thrown and the size of the rocks.
Yeah.
I know a guy from Oklahoma and he was telling me that the rocks were coming from far enough over the ridge they couldn't see anything, but the rocks were coming up over the top of the ridge and landing by him and his brother. So, I mean, that's not a person throwing rocks that are,
oh no,
softball size.
Yeah.
You're not going to chuck those that far, not that far.
No,
No.
not where you can't be seen on one side of the ridge to the other side of the ridge. So
No.
I just think that's fascinating that we're clear across the country, but we're seeing similarities in those standalone tree breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah, three of the coast of America there, they're Appalachia with y'all, Alaska with Daniel, and Stephen and I down in here, so 3 of the 4 coastlines that we have right there, and the similarities are the very same.
Yeah, and you got it, north, south, in the middle, too,
The next pictures that we want to take a look at that Jeff sent us are another type of tree structure that we as researchers look for, and that's tree manipulation. And basically the common term for it is tree arch. So for our viewers who are not familiar with what this is, we're going to put a little definition up first. So tree manipulation or tree arch, the curvature of tree branches often found in areas of cryptid activity resembling an archway that appear to not be related to natural or weather phenomenon. So if you're new into the Bigfoot research field, you're going to hear researchers talking about the tree arches a lot. And this is not the only definition, but a definition of what a tree manipulation tree arch is. So let's bring this one up first and tell us about this one.
That's the one Andy and I found back in the summer over at, where was that place? That was down at bottom end of the Hurricane.
Was it? Or is this one? No, this one's back in Glade Mountain.
Yeah, that is Glade. Yeah, that's Glade Mountainside. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's the last place we went to was up there at Glade.
Yeah.
We was investigating a report that was actually on the BFRO website, and we found the spot. Well, we didn't get back to that spot where the guy had his encounter, but we found the area. What it is, this place used to have a logging road in there to it. Well, when Hurricane Helene come in, 80% of the road's gone. And, it's walking distance. It's walking only. And there's places in there that, if you go in there at night and you don't know the road's gone, you got about a 40-foot drop to reality.
Good.
I mean, it's just tossed off the side of the bank, just like you took a knife and just sliced it off and pushed it. But we got back in there to that, and that place, it was off the chains. I mean, it was just as soon as we got out of the car, we started hearing stuff. Mm-hmm. Limbs pop. You can stop, you can hear limb pop. We heard the sickest owl call you ever heard in your life.
Well, that was later on.
That was a little bit later on, but that was, Andy said, that was the sorriest freaking owl call I've ever heard in my life.
What was it? Was it almost like a raspy, kind of like ooh, or something along those lines?
A little bit loud.
Was it? Huh?
It was a little bit louder.
A little bit. Yeah, it was a lot louder than that, but it was kind of a raspy. Call.
Yeah. Because it didn't have that, out there.
Yeah, I've heard so many owls. I was like, that ain't no freaking owl.
Yeah. I'll tell you where I got that alcohol. It's I usually whenever I'm researching quite a bit or whatever, I'll get my nerve built up until something spooks me, and then I get brought back to reality.
Yeah, I understand that.
And what had happened is, William had told you that I have them on my place. They pass through, and this is one of those times that I had my nerve built up. It was completely pitch black outside, and I didn't want to turn the carport light on. I was was going outside to really mark my territory, is what I call it. So, I'm a country boy, so I can do that. I don't have neighbors that close, so I didn't turn the carport light on. I just, as quietly as I could, I stepped outside and I shut the door just as quiet as I could. And as soon as I shut the door, it was oh. And I couldn't help but laugh because I mean this rascal wasn't. He just right over here, just on the other side of the yard. It's where that was at.
That's a little too close for comfort.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that owl stuff business, you know, that was one of my things I was told. But that's what I was doing. I mean, there was literally one time me and my cousin was back in the middle ground area that me and Jeff call it. But this is long before, you know, me and him had ever met up and everything and talked about stuff. It was just, he had watched Mountain Monsters and that's the way he thought it was done. But anyhow, I took him up to this spot, you know, and we went back there and it was just, these owls started hooting. And then, you know, after a little bit, I'm like, I'm going to hoot back at them, you know. And I don't know if it was my hoot that set that off or what. Man, that's when they started squalling like the chimpanzees and coming off that mountain towards us, you know. And I'm like, what? I mean, I went like, what the hell did I just do? I done something that wasn't good.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
So let's take a look at this next one. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you're trying to make up your mind, you know, whether or not it's a real owl or it might be something else, change up the call. Change the call up, and if they bring that call back,
good advice.
Changed it up, you know for sure that it's not an owl, because a real owl is not going to change your call.
Yeah.
No.
So Jeff and Andy, Steven is our audio guy. So he is one of those researchers that goes through all that tape, you know, listening. And one of the first things that they did, in fact, it was the first night we were all out together when I came down there, is they started telling me about the sounds of the forest, because the forest down there in Arkansas was so loud. You know, I wasn't familiar with the sounds of the animals there. So they had to start teaching me about, this is the sound of an owl. This is what a fox sounds like. Like the first time I heard a fox scream in the woods down there, I thought it was a woman screaming.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But they had to start teaching me the sounds of the forest. So for the researchers that are into the audio stuff, that's a big commitment. I mean, they go out there and get those recorders, and Steven has gone through hours of tape to listen for any type of vocalization. So it's a huge commitment for those researchers that are into the audio.
There are times you may go through 4 or 5 hours of audio before you ever hear anything that's actually what you were wanting to hear.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I will say, that when you find it, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we same place back in there. We at this picture, we went back in there and late in the evening and stayed till after the sun went down and everything. And you know, it was one of them moments where I thought everything was set up and so we could catch something if it happened. Yeah. But lo and behold, I make a call. About 45 seconds later, we got the whoop back. And I was like, hot damn, we got it, you know, but it's time to get out here too. And I get home and I don't have it. The only thing I can pick up is the sound of insects. It's just a little chirp, chirp here and a little chirp, chirp there. And I'm like, so mad because I'm like, what did I do to mess it up? You know, what did I should have, you didn't even hear me and Jeff hardly talking. So I'm like, I done something and I messed it up. And I'm so mad at myself because I mean, that was the clearest back to us that I've heard in a long time around here.
It was just long enough after the echo of him calling to go away. That response hit.
Yeah.
It was that quick. It didn't sound like it was 200 yards away.
Oh, I don't know. It was maybe 150 yards at most.
Yeah, it wasn't far off.
Yeah.
So let's look at another tree arch picture out of Virginia. This one right here. And guys, tell us about this one.
That's another one from out at the park. That's the last one that I've got left. The other ones were mysteriously cut down.
Isn't it funny how that happens?
Yeah, yeah. Gates get closed off. You got to walk further. Yeah, that's the only one they missed.
Yeah.
You'll see the other, later on, Stephen. You'll see the other one, and you'll see why I was so hot. I'm surprised somebody didn't hear me in there because I was pissed when I seen it. But that was another arch just right up above. It was probably 100 yards up above another arch, and just right there where that tree break was.
I'll tell you one of the strange things we found down here. Whenever you have a more dominant Bigfoot that comes into a territory, when there's other ones in there that are probably don't have the physical presence or something like that. If those Bigfoot have tree structures in there, this new dominant Bigfoot will actually tear down the other one's tree structures.
Yeah.
So if you see that happen, sometimes that can be what that is too.
It was done with the chainsaw though.
I'll tell you, yeah, man. And that's one way you can look and tell too. That's a good point. If it's got a chainsaw cut,
and they left it laying right beside the road, it's just like a show.
Yeah. You're right. So that's something right there that you can tell. Most 99,000 times out of 100,000, if it's chainsaw cut, but I have one there where one picked up about an 8-foot limb and threw at me, and that was the closest thing he could find. I was right there by where his lair goes in. He sailed that sucker at me like a daggum helicopter blade, man. You get just crashing through the trees, and it hung some of the little nipples there on the end hung some vines that just started just bobbing up and down like that right there. But like you said, when you see that way, you can tell who's who's messing with it and who's not.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now this next one is before I show this next picture out of Virginia, which is a not an arch, but one of the different tree structure types that we as researchers often encounter. And I have to say, I wasn't really familiar too much with these types of tree structures until I got down to Arkansas and William and Stephen started showing them to me because they're quite big. So let's bring in this picture right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was at the park. Yep. That was a little bit further back from where the arches is. That one was on the right-hand side of the road. But there was a real big hill goes down like this into the laurel thicket. Mountain fed spring comes right down out of it. And there's another deer trail just right off comes right around in behind it. Keeps on going down the bank.
It's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Now, William and Stephen, you guys come across these quite often. So in your opinion, and everybody has a different opinion about tree structures. It's a big debate item in the Bigfoot research community. But in your opinions, what do you think these are used for? Are they territorial boundaries? Are they directional? What do you guys think about these?
Go ahead, Stephen.
To me, I think a lot of times it's when things are done with bigger trees. I think that's to let everybody else know I'm boss of the woods. I'm not the one you want to mess with. And that's my opinion on that. Because I'm of the belief, that there's going to be an alpha with a troop, and that alpha is going to be the one we go do this. If there might be a younger one or whatever that might think he wants to be a threat to the alpha, the alpha might go do something like this to let him know. You can possibly even give him a warning, or something like that. If he's not smart enough to figure out that warning there, then yeah, he probably needs to go ahead and suffer the consequences from the alpha.
Yeah.
I went to,
I've ever seen.
I went to Montana a couple of years ago with Duke up there in the mountains he has there right there around Missoula, Montana. And some of the structures they have, they actually, like the X's and the ones that you see like that, they actually cross 50 and 60 feet up top up there. You know, so it's not like wind, there's not snow load or anything else like that. It's just the creatures, like Stephen said, are just so dominant. They're letting you know, hey, man, if I can put this up here, I can put you up there like that as well, you know. So but it's really impressive. You'll see around here, I've got several Bigfoot around here, and because of the similarity in the way that they build the tree structures, I have one here called Malcolm X. He tends to build X structure, make the X structures. I got another named Tim Trebo, and he tends to bow the trees about like what y'all had there a while ago. And then like one called the Lumberjack, he tends to carry trees from other areas that shouldn't be there and bring it to another area. So we kind of name them in that way right there. But it's really, when you see it, it's really impressive. You realize it's not done by people. People say, oh, well, that's Boy Scouts. Well, them the strongest Boy Scouts I've ever seen.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So one of the things that have been popping up a lot lately online and at the Bigfoot conferences, a lot of talk about Dogman, a lot of talk. And when William and I were at the Nebraska Bigfoot conference back in April, I was really surprised at just how many questions there were about Dogman. And honestly, I wasn't completely sold on the Dogman phenomenon until I went down to Arkansas and Stephen and William started teaching me about it and showing me the evidence and stuff like that. And I was like, wow, this, you know, you can't argue with this evidence here. So I want to ask each of you about Dogman and, you know, why all of a sudden why do you guys think there's so much interest in this as of late? It just seems to be popping up everywhere on all the shows and everybody's talking about Dogman. William, let's start with you.
I'll tell you what, it's, you know, when it first started out up there in Michigan. You know, it tended to be a regional phenomenon that you had up there. And then it started going across the northern boundary there around Canada. Then it started going down the East Coast. The East Coast has got a lot there. Appalachia's got a lot of them. But then all of a sudden they started appearing down here in Texas, Arkansas, Kentucky. They're a place called Land Between the Lakes. And so it's one of those things that I've done some shows there with a guy named Vic Cundiff with the Dogman Encounters Radio. And Vic, he said, I've got more people interested in Dogman than I do Bigfoot. Of course, everybody's, you know, you've heard of the werewolf forever. If they're werewolves, they're not the kind that turn back into people as a rule, you know, like what you see on TV, but they actually are. You can ask Stephen, the one we saw, man, he was a bad dude, and he was actually leading 3 Bigfoot up a hill there on our research area there. And Stephen, thank goodness he saw it. And I was, you know, back there kind of tailing off at the end, getting through rearranging the SD card, and Stephen goes, stop. And we're always joking with each other. And I said, what am I doing? He goes, no, stop. So he points down there, and sure enough, we got Dogman walking up the hill. And he, like I said, he's got 3 Bigfoot behind him. You can see the Bigfoot back there with him. I'm like, oh my gosh, you know. And I've had talked to several people who'd had the howling behind their house. I've got one person down here around Sulphur River that this lady won't even go outside her house even in the daytime. She's just that afraid. So I think that's part of the phenomenon, because it's kind of a new phenomenon, but man, you know, something we've heard about, you know, ever since, you know, when we were children watching those Wolfman movies, you know, and everything like that. But it is also a real phenomenon. My wife goes, please don't talk about Dogman. But when we finally started seeing them, then I told her, well, if somebody gets hurt, and then I don't tell them, you know. And Stephen there, boy, he's got that trail that we found that day, Stephen, a track line there of Dogman. And then his son-in-law found a great Dogman track earlier this year down there. And so it's because it's a real phenomenon, but people, they've heard about Bigfoot all their lives, and they've been told, well, Bigfoot's not real. Folks going to start realizing all these things there. Truth tends to mirror reality rather than being the other way around. So there's something there. So
yeah,
Stephen Hill,
Daniel, I just sent you the Dogman picture and a couple of tracks of that trackway. I wasn't able to find the full trackway real quick. But if you want to throw that up, you can. Yeah, it's first time. The first time that we found the Dogman trackway, we didn't make much about it. Honestly, I didn't make much about it. And the stride was what were we saying? The stride was 30 to 36 inches roughly.
Yeah, 36. Yeah,
not
36.
every stride was roughly between 30 and 36 inches long is what it was in between steps in that first trackway that I found.
That's right.
And for whatever reason, I didn't video it. I didn't take pictures of it. I don't know where my head was that day. I honestly don't know. I mean, it was
in the moment. I mean, you just can't really. I mean, think of all this. It'd be nice to have like a checklist that would just go off and okay, do this, but it's in the moment, and that's right, what makes it so real.
Yeah, it ain't gonna happen like that.
Yeah. So then it was a year later. From the time we found that trackway, it was a year later. It was in February of the following year when we found when we actually took the picture of the Dogman.
Yeah. And
it was sometime after that, whenever I actually found another trackway of the Dogman, and I did take a picture of that. Fortunately, I had enough presence of mind to, there's another Dogman trackway. I need to go ahead and take a picture. So that's how some of this stuff goes for us. I mean, we get caught up in the moment, and we just, for whatever reason, we don't do what we would expect ourselves to do. But yeah, there's the Dogman right there.
Yep.
And you can see the shadows of the 3 Bigfoot behind him that he's leading up the hill. Notice they're staying quite a ways away.
Yeah.
And when we talked to Vic kind of about it, Vic had less than 10 stories where people had ever told him, where the Dogman and the Bigfoot actually seemed to get along and have some kind of relationship. So, and around here in this particular area, they seem to get along. We're not exactly, of course we can't be 100% sure exactly what the relationship is.
That's right.
But we know that they do run together. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. And I'm just wondering, for me, I'll be honest, I hadn't heard of Dogman until like the last year or two. Werewolves, yes. And that's what I thought, okay, werewolf, and then I haven't been educated much on it, but the little bit I did get is like, oh, no, we're not talking about werewolves. And I'm like, okay, and and now I'm like, okay, have I had some kind of dealing with the Dogman? And I just didn't realize it, thinking it was, a Sasquatch or something, but maybe it wasn't. And I looked really hard at this photo, and I'm thinking, what was that? And I'm like, I remember seeing a blob go through the woods, and I'm like, man, that looks kind of more familiar to what it looked like there than what I was.
We saw a blob like that a couple of times.
Probably really fast.
Yeah, he tends to resemble a doggone like a hyena on stilts or something like that with his body shape. You see why he's bent over like that. I've seen some that actually have the more slender body like that. I saw one in DeQueen, Arkansas, one down on Sulphur River with that dude right there. But man, he was a dude, and I'll say he was what, 7.5 foot tall, maybe, Steve, and probably 300 pounds. Yeah, they was big.
I wouldn't want to wrestle with him. But here's the other thing. Here's the backstory. Here's the other information to go with that story. We actually had a 4570 with us that day, and we set the 4570 on the ground so we could take pictures.
Yeah.
It's
I would have done the same thing. I admire y'all for that. I mean, very much. I don't know. I mean, it might have been if we, hey Jeff, you take pictures, or vice versa.
Yeah. One of us cover the other one.
Yeah. Because something like that's new to us.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I didn't hear about anything about Dogman until I watched the episode about the Beast of Bray Road.
Yep.
That kind of, I got really interested in that documentary that they had on that, and I started, well, wait a minute. So if I'm out here looking for Bigfoot and these things are running around, I might need to pay. I might need to study up a little bit more on these. And then I read that story about the, that massacre at the Land Between the Lakes.
Yep.
And the funny story is that whole area is still closed off to this day. That speaks volumes to me about the reality of what actually they said happened down there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Daniel actually had one of the best. He had one of the best researchers on about Dogman and LBL there has ever existed right there in Darrell Denton not too long ago, and then a guy named Martin Groves. If y'all get on there, y'all can look online there, Facebook or whatever, and try to find some of their profiles.
He's a very knowledgeable man.
Yeah.
I think the world of Darrell.
Yep. And you can look and tell both of them that they ain't pulling your leg. They're telling you the truth, man.
No, they're just as straight up as they get. But I mean, that Dogman thing, that's definitely something interesting. A friend of mine, she lives out in Idaho, and I was asking her about them, and she said, well, sweetheart, if you got one, she said, you've got the other.
That's all right.
Yeah.
She said, so you might as well just go ahead and be prepared to see one or both.
Yeah. But the thing for me, after that initial encounter, and I went back and forth, was it really a Bigfoot? Was it not? Did I misidentify it? And then I kept having other encounters and vocalizations and all the other stuff. And now I finally had a second sighting, and it was absolutely massive. Shoulders were probably 5 feet across. I want to say this thing was a minimum of at least 8 feet tall. And I watched it squat down. It was standing up when I first saw it, and it squatted down. And that was like an information overload. I didn't even tell my wife about that for over 4 months. I didn't tell anybody about it. It spooked me. I'm serious. Just seeing the size of it.
Yeah. That was. I mean, me personally, I'd be more nervous and more scared and be reaching for my gun if I saw that step out than I would a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
I mean, now I don't pay attention, which is kind of could be a bad thing, because if I know they're around, I'll just get relaxed, and I'm just like, hey, please come out, come on.
Yeah, and that's the thing I finally came to the realization of, is that if there was ever a time when they wanted to get me, they've had many, many, many opportunities to get me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, where I used to live, it's similar. Like, I mean, it basically they's in backyard, or we was in their backyard, front yard, whatever you want to say. But people be like, "Well, ain't you afraid that they're going to get you?" And it sort of like you, it's like the realization if they wanted to get me, they would have already had me. I mean, plenty of times, and not even had a clue, and it just. But I'm like you, you're talking about the massive size of these things. Yeah, I mean, I don't think people understand, how big they are, and I don't know, what I seen may have been, a smaller size when compared to what some of y'all have seen, and it's just like the shoulders, it's just like the width and the mass of them, it's just like, unbelievable, and it just I still, even today, I'm like amazed at just how wide those shoulders are.
Yeah.
We've got one down there we
that's
call Blackie. Blackie's shoulders, I kid you not, are 5 foot wide. Me and Steven have seen him 3 or 4 times down there. And we've actually got a PVC deer feeder that we're putting apples in. Well, Blackie comes up and eats those apples. So I got a picture of him last year. He's standing right behind the deer feeder there. And you can see just how truly massive that he is. I mean, when I say 5 foot, I used to be a bodybuilder. I'm a pretty good sized guy. Steven's a pretty good sized guy. Man, we're not even anywhere close. So they're just that big. I had told Daniel not too long ago, and I think it's there somewhere on one of the episodes that he and I recorded, that it's easier to believe in Bigfoot when you've never seen one than when he's standing right in front of you. And that's the truth, because they're just so doggone big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're so quiet when they want to be.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's the thing that gets me.
Now, Jeff, remember that down in the hurricane?
Yep.
What do you think now?
Yep.
Stephen, this is a photo you're familiar with.
Yep.
Yeah, it is.
That's one.
Yeah.
Honestly, I thought about that.
That looks a lot similar in the size is.
The size was, it was right off that campsite.
Yeah, right in that sand and everything, and
it wasn't a dog because the campground was closed. There hadn't been nobody down there since Hurricane Helene. But,
even if it was a dog, there wasn't but one good track in there, and it should have been more. I mean, it was like a dog walking on 2 legs.
Yep.
You had one real good track, and then one that wasn't in the good stuff to take up a track, but you could tell something stepped there. But it was way too wide. The stride wouldn't even, if you had a dog walking on 2 legs.
That would explain the vibe I got in there then.
Yeah.
Yep. That would explain the strange vibe you got.
It's a different vibe than being around the Squatch.
Yeah.
Completely different.
Yeah. But this track right here was found, I don't know, within a mile of our actual ground zero area where we did all of our gifting and stuff there for so long. It's still in the same area.
And the weight of it, you can tell it weighed.
Yeah, they some weight to that.
Yeah.
They 300 pounds of weight right there, every bit of it.
And that boy's got a big old hand too. He's not got them little bitty baby hands. You're still playing Play-Doh. This is a man's hand there, and it's
So it's what you're saying, it's probably bigger than what we were thinking.
Oh yeah,
it's
you can tell that's
that's impressive.
I was a non-believer, I would be honest with you. I'd be like, that's a big damn dog. But I believe
ain't no dog.
It's a dog.
It's a regular dog.
And man, look at them claws.
I know. Jeez.
Yeah. Those things can do business. Those claws.
Those things can mess you up.
Yeah, they can open you up hurry.
Yeah. See, it's the deer. The deer we found out there at Ground Zero one time. It was we found about, what was it, William? About 18 inches of the backbone.
Yeah,
and
exactly right.
And the hams and the feet had been broken off. The hide was gone. The front half of the deer was gone. All the entrails and everything else, all that was gone. But the back legs, what was left of the back legs, they had been snapped off, not cut. They were broken.
Yeah.
You tell me what else out there can snap a deer's legs like that?
I ain't got no answer except for that.
Yeah.
That's got to have something.
I've still got one of the horns out here. I've still got a deer horn out here, but I can't remember what side it was, with the right side or the left side of the horn. I know William took a picture of it. I've still got the horns here. But one side, we're pretty sure that it was pulled off the deer's head.
No doubt about it.
When a deer will shed, it comes off pretty even.
Yeah.
And on that one, it's not even on that one side that was left at the candy store. is where it was left at.
Wow. Oh.
Down.
What might have been that deer?
And that's what was so amazing about that right there. We got 5 pictures of Bigfoot back there with rocks flying by the camera. He started out there chasing this big old deer that Stephen's talking about. And all of a sudden you see the deer run, you get another picture of his rump as he's taking off. And then we get several pictures of I guess the lights stay back on the camera, but he's throwing rocks at the doggone camera. Well, then, when we go back then the next time, I think Stephen's there by himself. First time he gets that horn. And next time we go back, the match to that set of horns is there, left there at the candy store, which is where we put the candy out to feed the Bigfoot. And so it was just amazing. Yeah. And then they were also, as crazy as that sounds, getting those pictures, but they were also covering our cameras up with big pieces of tree bark so that they wouldn't be pointed towards where they're walking by. So I've got all those pictures too. Yeah, I've got all those pictures too there to show you. It's just, I mean, it's unreal. It's the things they do that they'll surprise you, but you're just you're not even surprised anymore after doing this for this long. But Steve and I, like I said, have a very, very active area there. And first day, me and Daniel went down there. We get a picture of one that's 10 foot 6 inches tall there. And then the last time we went, he got one probably 20 or 30 feet away from us right there. They're just standing inside the wood line behind trees looking at us. Pretty doggone scary, but so it's funny. And too, not all Dogman tracks, they're like Bigfoot tracks. They're not all Dogman tracks look alike. Not all Bigfoot tracks look alike, and not all Bigfoot look alike.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be gruesome with this picture, but it was mentioned about the deers having their legs broken. Well, it's not just deers. You see in this picture.
When I found that coyote, he was still limp. That's how I showed up not long after that thing had been killed.
Yeah.
And I checked on it.
Him out there.
I checked on that coyote. Nothing fed on it. No buzzards or anything like that. Nothing fed on it. But when I checked on it about 4 weeks later, the head was missing.
Whoa.
I'm not sure what that means. I mean, William and I, we found hog skulls wedged up in between trees. And I've asked, if other people have run across that where a coyote had been twisted and killed, and if any of the heads were ever missing from them. But so far, I've never found anybody else that's told me that. So
you think that's Bigfoot or Dogman doing that?
I think it was probably a Bigfoot, but I don't know. I mean, some other coyotes have been twisted up a lot worse than that, Yeah. But I mean, that one wasn't shot or anything like that. It was just twisted and killed.
Yeah, we got several of the skulls where the Bigfoot, or if it's Bigfoot or the Dogman, are putting the skulls up in a tree through the eye socket, like right there. And there's a stick through the eye socket that you'll find. And then we've got another one up there that's about a big giant 10 point. I can't remember if which one of my friends got that picture. It might have been, oh shucks, I'm having brain freeze right there. But anyway, the deer, the horns were upside down. Then I got another good friend of mine in the Longview, Texas. He found one where the horns were stuck up there like that right there, same way through the eye socket there. So they've got some weird, I don't want to pick up something that nasty, but they've got some weird deal. Anything skulls, they tend to be obsessed with. Like Stephen said, they'll put the noses right in between trees as hard as you can get them. So they're pretty doggone. They got some different hobbies than I got. I guarantee. When I go picking up skulls, my wife will say, "You be sure you stop and wash your hands before you come home."
Gentlemen, we are out of time tonight, so I want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out of your schedules to be with us. For my partners, William Lunsford and Stephen Hill, always great seeing you guys. I'm looking forward to the next trip down. So, and for our viewers, the next trip down to Arkansas, we're going to be doing a lot of filming, on this next one, and hopefully our drones will work this time. After having some problems with them down there the last time, but we'll see how this one goes. Jeff and Andy from Cryptic Investigations of Appalachia, part of our partners in the CWR network. We appreciate you guys, and
It's our pleasure.
Thanks so
It's
much
a
for
big
being
pleasure
with us
here
again.
too, buddy.
Yeah, Steve and Will, thank you guys so
Yeah, you
much.
too,
Pleasure
man.
to get the chance to talk to you guys.
That's
I love this stuff.
Hey,
We
you
have
just
to do
get
it
our
again.
numbers. Hey, we'll talk
Yeah.
Bigfoot, man, till
Yeah.
the cows come home. And it don't have to be our cows, man. So just
Good Lord willing, one day I'm gonna get down there with you guys.
hey,
Yeah.
you give us a buzz.
Sounds
We
good.
got to bring down Krista and the girls this year from Blondes and Boos. They had the experience of their life down here in what we call the dark woods. They're
Is
yeah,
that
they're
Oh, yeah.
still talking about
Yeah,
it.
we
is that
heard the,
I'd love to see that.
Well, guys, I enjoyed it. Thank you again for this opportunity to share with y'all. You too,
Yeah.
Daniel, for putting us in. Steven's always a pleasure to be with. He and I laugh and cut up. But he's one of the most knowledgeable researchers you've ever seen, man. So
Yeah.
very,
love
very,
yeah, yes, it was.
Thank y'all for doing it the way you do it.
Oh yeah,
Well, I appreciate
it's
you
been a
saying that.
pleasure, guys. It's I've really enjoyed meeting you.
Same like
Thank
you,
you.
buddy.
And Daniel.
All right.
thank you.
So for myself, Daniel Becker up here in Anchorage, Alaska, for Matt Sleater in Quincy, Washington, for my partners, Stephen Hill, William Lunsford down in Arkansas, and our CWR network partners, Cryptic Investigations of Appalachia, Jeff Anderson, Andy Hall. Thank you so much for being with us, and we will see you next time.